Arsenal's transfer policy is changing to help them land Declan Rice, who becomes a major target, and Declan Rice himself is massively open to the move. We are also talking this morning about Gusto only wants to join Chelsea, and a deal is seen as imminent. Spurs are also closing in on a big target for them in Pedro Porro today, but big spending Chelsea could hijack this deal. We're talking about that, the imminent Manchester United full takeover, the situation with Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez to Chelsea as well. But make sure like buttons are being smashed. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace. Let's do this. Let's go. Now, we know Arsenal Football Club are closing in on the signing of a young and talented fullback in Fresneda. Now, Fresneda has to decide whether he wants to join Dortmund or Arsenal. The belief is he's holding out for Arsenal. Arsenal are trying to finalize the situation with Cedric Suarez, who looks to be, again, imminently moving to Fulham this January. Arsenal will make the signing of Fresneda and Neda, sorry, and will loan him back. That is what's very much expected. He'll be loaned straight back or loaned out somewhere else. That is what's likely to take place in this deal. Arsenal are very, very confident of this transfer completing. But done deals are not completed deals. They think this deal will complete. The Cedric deal is slightly holding it up. And then Arsenal move on to their next target. Now, what's very, very interesting is this piece here from Fabrizio, who says, I'm told that right after the Mudryk story, Arsenal had a meeting planning for the present, Leandro Trossard, and of course the Kiwior that have come in to play at centre back, and for the future. And in that meeting, Declan Rice was mentioned also as a possibility, a player they really like. This has been doubled down on by The Athletic, who have said here that Arsenal's transfer strategy shift from youngsters to with potential to proven players to add depth is a key factor in the Declan Rice move. And this is something that I predicted happening at Arsenal. Transfer strategies have to be fluid. They have to be agile. And the word agile has been used a lot in the corporate world in the past 5 to 10 years. And essentially it means you're not rigid, you're not sticking to, you're not, it has to only be youngsters. We can only buy youngsters. You know, Wenger kind of did this in the latter years. It was, I only want small technical football players. He kind of abandoned the idea of having strong, fast, hard to deal with players who also had technical ability. He was trying to create Arsenal's version of Xavi, Iniesta, Messi's Barcelona, and it didn't quite work. He did not yield, change, or become agile with his plan. But Arsenal have learned from that mistake, and what they are doing here is saying, right, Declan Rice isn't a 20-year-old. He's in his mid-20s. He's established. He's a top-class player. Statistically speaking, he's on par with every other player midfielder we've got. Talk pass completions, interceptions, tackles, duels won. Go check out the Premier League, him versus Partey this year. Practically the same. Some things Partey's better at. Some things Declan Rice is better at. But Declan Rice is playing for David Moyes at West Ham. Can you imagine Declan Rice in an Arsenal shirt? It is going to be epic. Now, this deal is advancing. And when I say advancing, I mean Arsenal working very hard with the agent and very hard with the players' representation to try and move this deal forward. And it's going to be one to keep a very close eye on, maybe towards the end of this January period and the sort of February, March area. I think Arsenal might try to get a deal done ahead of time before everybody else, especially when it's seen as cast iron, mathematically impossible for them not to make it into the Champions League. But they are certainly winning the race for Declan Rice right now, who's a big admirer of Mikel Arteta. It's advancing, and watch it. Watch this space with Arsenal because they mean serious, serious business right now. Staying in London here, This report here, shared here by Simon Phillips, says that Marlo Augusto only wants to go to Chelsea, and a deal for around 30 to 40 million euros is imminent. Now, this is another very talented, very capable young player that Chelsea are looking to bring into their football club. And I think the most important element of Gusto is his position. It's the right back position. Chelsea needs something more youthful, quicker, technically good at right back for when Reece James isn't available. They also need someone to come in who has potential and a ceiling to genuinely compete with Reece James. The biggest reason being Reece James has got a terrible injury record. Whether Chelsea fans like hearing that or not, it's the truth. It's just a cold, hard, straight fact. So this is a very, very good signing for them. And it's a signing which fits in with the strategy that Chelsea have got right now. People see Chelsea's strategy as scattergun. I don't. I think they are top heavy in the sense of they are buying everybody in every position that they can now. They're putting them on these long contracts before UEFA changes its rules. They're spending maybe 1.5, 2.5 years worth of transfer fees up front. They're buying it now, they're paying it later, essentially, like a Littlewoods catalog. That is what they're doing. They're Littlewoods catalog. You buy a pair of trainers for £50 and you pay £2.27 a week until they're paid off. That's how Chelsea are doing this. They want these youngsters in now to become part of the Chelsea project, to understand long term what Graham Potter wants to build for the future. I don't think it's scattergun now that we're seeing this signing as well. The amount of talented young players they've purchased tells me there is a plan. This isn't just sign him, sign him, sign him, like a billionaire in a shop, just saying, yeah, give me them vases, give me them vases. I want that chandelier, that table. You already got 3 dinner tables, yeah, but just buy it for me. They're not doing that. They're filling holes, and especially with young players. So I'm very intrigued to see how this works in the future. But Chelsea going in big again. This they've already spent this summer, this January window, 184 million. 38% of all the transfer spend this January has been Chelsea. And they've never been this dominant in a window as they are now. They haven't. You look at the prices, but look at the age of the players they're buying. Just look at all their faces. They're not old men. They're not out here spending 184 million pound on two 30-year-olds in positions that they've already got taken care of. They're buying for the future and partly for the here and now. I actually think it's been a phenomenal transfer window for Chelsea, but because of the abundance of players that are coming in, it may take a little bit of time for them to be embedded, for them to understand the philosophy and move forward. But Chelsea Football Club are legit. And what I also want to speak about when it comes to Chelsea is the situation with Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. This here says Brighton and Chelsea have refused to engage in negotiations this week. And what's interesting about that is they haven't said they won't sell the players. They have not said they won't sell the players. They've said they have refused to engage in negotiations, meaning pay us what we want. Both have had prices set circa 100 million. Pay us what we want and you can have them. We are not negotiating any lower. And I think what Chelsea are doing is they're sorting out this right back situation. Then it's back to the midfield. They're not going to buy both. If they do buy both, I'll eat my hat. That's not a dig at Chelsea. That's just I can't see it happening. But they will try and buy one, and I get a feeling they're going to look at this and go, right, how long a contract can we give? How much can we spread this out? What other sponsorship deals can we bring in? What can we do to raise some extra money? Because they want one of these two. And I think if you look back at the players that they've already purchased, Gusto coming in, plus the 11 injured players coming back, and you throw a Caicedo or an Enzo into that mix, Chelsea are going to be back sooner rather than later. They just are. And I know people don't like hearing this. I know people want to pretend they don't have a plan, but I think you're being very, very short-sighted because what they're doing is a little bit eccentric. Doesn't mean it isn't right. Doesn't mean it won't yield results 6 months, 18 months down the line. Keeping it with Chelsea as well, though, Tottenham are trying to conclude the signing of Sporting Lisbon's Pedro Porro today. Again, another very talented right back, very high ceiling. But it does say that big spending Chelsea could hijack the move. Now, of course, they're not going to sign Pedro Porro and Gusto. Chelsea are not going to do that. They're going to go for one or the other. I personally believe Pedro Porro is a preferred choice of Chelsea, but Tottenham are leading the race. However, Tottenham haven't been able to get that deal done. At the same time, we've already seen Chelsea try to and hijack multiple deals. Just this January, two deals where Arsenal were winning the race in João Felix and Mahalo Mudryk. They have just come in at the 11th hour and offered better terms. We saw yesterday Spurs complete a hijack of Dan Juma. And I know that most of the Football Terrace community listens to what I've got to say. But remember when I've told you before, a done deal is not a complete deal. Fabrizio's a GOAT. But here we go doesn't mean it's complete. When fans start to learn this, they will enjoy the transfer window more and not be so hung up on what journalists say. What journalists say isn't the important thing. Your own understanding of the world of transfers is where you should be focusing. It's a done deal. He's agreed to join, but when's that medical? Is it over the line yet? When's he going to be lifting the shirt? That is key. It really is. It really, really is. But Pedro Porro would be a really good signing for Tottenham. Emerson Royale is not good enough. They need such an improvement in that area, and I think that this will be very good business for Tottenham. He's a very talented player. Sporting have got 2 or 3 players in their squad right now who you look at and think, yeah, you're beyond Portuguese football. You're beyond Sporting, and I say that with respect. Whether or not it is a Conte signing or not remains to be seen. That's the only caveat I would throw in. Will Antonio Conte play him? He didn't want Jed Spence. Does he want Pedro Porro? Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. But if he is a Conte signing and he isn't signing a new deal at the end of the summer, is it sensible? Those are questions for you Tottenham fans watching to answer me, because I'm a little confused by that. The player individually, I think, is mustard and will do very, very well for you indeed. The Glazer family's search for investment at Man United is likely to result in a full sale, with the process set to move to a formal stages in the next 3 to 4 weeks, as Rain Group sound out potential buyers to rival Jim Radcliffe. Now, this is massive news for Man United fans. It's news that I'm not spending too much time making content on, because nothing has really changed until all the official bids are in. But what I wanted to touch base on is kind of for the Football Terrace community to not lose sight of this takeover, which will become very intense in the next month. A lot of buyers are holding back. A lot of buyers are holding back because the more that come in, the more public it is, the more money the Glazers are going to get. And everybody's trying to keep it as quiet and as confidential as possible. This makes sense in business. This makes sense in business. It really, really does. They don't want the share price rising. They don't want the value rising. And if Elon Musk today says, I want to buy Man United, the valuation goes up. That is the way the stock market works. United are on the stock market. That is the way business works. You know, if what's his name? If Twitter today said we want to buy the Football Terrace and make it our own, and we're gonna turn it into the biggest football fan channel in the world, do you know how valuable? They just said that. Do you know how valuable my channel would become overnight? That's why it's very, very quiet. But don't get it twisted. Some of the richest men and women and businesses in the world want to buy Manchester United. So Jim has already made it formal that they're entering that process. Man United will be sold in full. It is very unlikely you're going to get bit part investments and things continue on as normal. Everybody entering this race wants the whole entire club. What remains to be seen is whether they'll meet the £6 billion asking price of the Glazers. That is a stumbling block. But most of the bidders think they can drive that price down if they keep things quiet and confidential. So that's kind of my rationale for not wanting to talk about it too much. I think the fan channel is going on about it and on about it and on about it. You're making it harder for the club to be sold because you're raising noise about it. The quieter, the better when it comes to this kind of business, because we don't want the Glazers pricing themselves out of a sale. And we don't want the Glazers making too much money out of it. So this, keep it on the low down, nice and quiet. But it is happening. And like I said before, rivals with new owners at United, beware. This isn't about us spending more money than you. We've already spent loads of money and failed. Competent owners that genuinely want the club for footballing reasons, and this will happen, will turn us, not just, we're already a giant club, but we will be juggernauts. We will be superpowers. We will be sent back into the stratosphere of world football. And I cannot wait to see the back of the Glazers. Listen, everyone that has tuned in, thank you very, very much indeed. Smash like buttons, subscribe to the channel. Stream later on today to celebrate 300,000 subscribers to the Terrace, which is absolutely phenomenal. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again very, very soon.